Welcome to Backyard Cigars, and today I am in sunny New Hampshire. Shout out to the Coolidges for allowing me to film in their backyard. I feel quite honored. As a matter of fact, I feel quite inspired. Today's cigar is the Quesada Oktoberfest 10th anniversary 2021 edition, and you might say, why am I smoking it now? I mean, it's 2022. It's October 2022. Why now? Well, these cigars have a reputation, and it's kind of hard to get them right away. Sometimes you will get them in the year that they're released, and a lot of the times they'll pop up in the following year, in which a new one is set to come out. But nonetheless, the 10th anniversary edition is a big departure from previous editions that were either Nicaraguan puros produced by the Plasencia family in Nicaragua or Dominican puros. This 10th anniversary 2021 edition is really a cigar that Manuel Quesada put a lot of thought into. They did a Mexican San Andres wrapper on this particular cigar. The binder's Dominican, the filler's Dominican. And, initially this cigar, when it was created, was designed and blended with the intention of being had with a Marzen lager from Germany. Now, while I did have a Marzen lager from Germany, Paulaner, at home, I'm on the road and I needed to substitute. So the local brewery, Spyglass Brewery, provided for me the Spyglass Dieter. And the Dieter measures in at 6.1 ABV, and it is a fest beer. It is classified as a fest beer. And I'll touch lightly on that, but we're going to see how this pairs. So this isn't a full-on pure review of this particular cigar. In a sense, it's a pairing. But it is a different type of pairing. And the reason why I say it's a different type of pairing is because it is designed and blended to be had with a German lager or a German lager style beer, as in is in this case, because this isn't made in Munich. It isn't a true Oktoberfest cigar. Oktoberfest beer, but it is indeed a German style lager. So we're going to see how it pairs with this cigar, because that was the intention. So, which Vitola size am I smoking? I'm smoking the Das Boot. I'm smoking the Das Boot, which is a 6x52 Torpedo Vitola. And it is... look, guys, we've heard of these cigars come out every Oktoberfest. And some of us have wondered, maybe... What's the big fuss about them? Do I need to get them? Do I need to smoke them? Do I need to rush out and get them as quickly as possible? My answer to you is yes. You should definitely do that. Now let's talk about the fact that the tobaccos that are used for this particular series are amazing. They're from the Cibao Valley when we're talking about the Dominican Republic. And in this case, of course, using the Mexican San Andres and blending and using it as a wrapper for the blend was not really much of a surprise to me. It's the hot wrapper, right? It's what people want. But it also adds another layer of sweetness to the cigar. And that's what probably they were looking for. But so the original cigar was indeed blended to go with a Marzen beer. How will that fare? How will that matter in this regard? Well, look, every time that they make a change, whether it's Nicaraguan, whether it's Mexican San Andres, they're looking for something that's still going to fit the bill in regards to how it pairs to this German beer or German style beer, as in my case, like I mentioned before. Now, the Marzen style beer was the official beer of the Oktoberfest festival. Some of you that know, the Oktoberfest festival, which I've never been to, and it's on my bucket list. It begins on September 17th and it ends on October 3rd. It is considered the world's largest Volkfest. What's a Volkfest? A Volkfest is a large event in Germany, that in German speaking countries actually, which combines a beer fest, wine fest, and a traveling carnival, fun fair, all those good fun things. And it's been held since 1810. In 2021, it was canceled. So Manuel Quesada couldn't do his Oktoberfest tour. Yeah, he has a tour. He actually has a tour of his own. So, this festival, as we know, is held in Munich, Germany, Bavaria, Germany. And it's, locally, the locals, from what I've been told, have don't call it Oktoberfest as us Americans do. They call it Die Weissen, or something to that effect. Die Weissen, and it's what they call it because it's in regards to and in reference to the fairgrounds where the Oktoberfest festival is held. Those fairgrounds were basically the entrance at the entrance of the palace where King Ludwig I married his bride Therese on October 12, 1810. And so these festivals were held on these fields of that city in front of the gates, and they were celebrations of the marriage. And the fields were named Theresienwiese. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, in honor of the princess. So now the locals call the festival Die Weissen. This is really a long time tradition, right? It goes back. It has a lot of history. There were horse races. There were all kinds of things. But there were specific breweries that were brewing beer at the time for these festivals. And there was a specific style, and that was the Marzen style beer. Now, the classic Marzen style is dark. It's malty. It's a German amber lager. It's rich, it's heavy, it's bready. It's usually higher in alcohol than a fest beer. But in the 1970s, after much drunkenness, after much consuming of higher ABV alcohols, it was decided to make a switch to the fest beer, which is kind of difficult for some people to understand, but overall, I think the consensus among the brewers is that it's not really a big deal. The fest beer is a lighter version of the Marzen beer. It's still considered, since the 1970s, late 70s, the official beer of Oktoberfest. In this case, as I mentioned before, this is a German-style lager, fest beer. It is 6.1. It is a little higher in ABV than most traditional German fest beers, which would probably be around either 4.9 or 5.1. And the focus of the Marzen beer is really the malt bill. The hops that are included really provide balance. And in a fest beer, it has more hop flavor. And the malt bill is just a little bit more simpler. This information was provided to me from Michael Toombs, the head brewer of Chuckanut Brewing. Now, I've had this cigar in the past, variations of it. Some of you have as well. But is it any good? Is it worth the hype? And furthermore, does it really pair that well with a German lager, German style lager? Does it really? We're about to find out, because I'm about to take a sip and then I'm going to take a puff. And I'm going to let you know what I feel and what I think. So, just off of that, I'm not reviewing the beer, but must let you know what the beer tastes like. It's clean, it's pure, it's got simple hops pairing very well with a simple malt bill. It's not boozy, It's not overly rich. It's not overly heavy. It's not overly anything. It's just very well balanced beer. But Spyglass is known for providing and for making really great beers. This is no exception. How does it provide in pairing? Follow it up. I actually think it pairs very well. But I have a confession to make about this. I still think the Marzen, the original Marzen, is probably going to pair better. Why do I say that? I say that because there's a certain bready richness to the pure original Marzen that you're gonna get that's gonna pair better with this particular cigar. Now, now there is something else to look at, and that is that previous renditions of this cigar, as we all know, designed and blended to go with the Marzen, have been different. And so this year, in 2021, we have a Mexican San Andres wrapper. It's already sweet. It's already giving off some sweetness in this wrapper. I'm getting that sweetness. I'm getting that Dominican Cibao Valley flavor. It's just, a nice, rich, sweet earthiness. It's what you would expect from Manuel Quesada. It's what you would expect from the very best of the Cibao Valley. But because of this additional layer of sweetness, I think that this fest beer is actually turning out to be probably a better pairing because it gives you that contrast where it okay, so I just had those couple of puff, and now there's this bready, slightly hoppy flavor that just cleanses the palate just a bit. Just a bit. Doesn't interfere with any of the flavors that you're getting from the cigar whatsoever. Some might still want to be traditional and say, as I said before, that the Marzen may pair better. And I think at this point, very much like in deciding whether you're going to have a pure Marzen for Oktoberfest celebrations or a fest beer, really comes down to preference because they both pair very well. The traditionalist, the purist in me says Marzen would be the optimal choice, but the other part of me that is liking the way that this coats my palate and cleanses my palate and really heightens the experience with the cigar so far would say it's preference. Either one can be very enjoyable. The cigar is just beginning with, first of all, a very good draw. Secondly, very good construction. Thirdly, the delivery of the flavors in the cigar. Let's forget about the pairing of the beer for the moment, although this is technically a pairing video. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful. And I love the flavors that I'm getting from this Das Boot. It's sweet. It's got cocoa, the earthiness. No pepper, no spice right now. Just a lot of sweetness in cocoa. And it's got breadiness already in it. You've got this built into the blend, right? You've got breadiness. You've got what I think matches up perfectly with the maltiness of the cigar, of the beer. So the beer has the fest beer in specific. The fest beer has less of the heavy, rich, malty bill than the fest beer. The Marzen does. Excuse me. The Marzen has more of the heavy, rich breadiness, but the fest beer still provides enough of that maltiness combined with an equal balance of hops to give you a pleasurable experience so far. So that's where we're at right now with this. Now let's start talking about the genius of Manuel Quesada and his Oktoberfest tour, which actually runs longer than the uh, the official Oktoberfest celebration. It runs from September to November, and he has this tour that goes across the United States. There's German food, German culture. There is prizes. There are beer signs with the Manuel Quesada brand on them that you can win. There is the opportunity to try older versions and limited releases of the Quesada Oktoberfest cigars. And it's just a wonder of a celebration. And everyone seems to love it. Wherever it goes, people seem to want to be in attendance. And rightfully so, because even though it's not a Oktoberfest in Munich, it is still a celebration of the wonderful cigars that he produces and his appreciation for the German culture and the wonderful beverages that they brew. In 2011, Manuel Quesada decided he was going to do this. Manolo only knew one thing, and that is that he wanted to make a beer that would blend well with the German lagers, as I mentioned before. And it was, I mean, we hear about pairings all the time, right? Like this cigar pairs really well with this rum, with this whiskey, and going back into time, pairings have been a thing of discussion for so many cigar smokers. In regards to rum, in regards to whiskey, scotch, whiskey, scotch is whiskey, but it's a different type of whiskey, of course. And people have always looked for that proper pairing with their particular cigar. In some cases, it's been more like trial and error. I'm gonna try this and see how it works. I'm gonna try this beer and see how it works. And sometimes it just doesn't work out. It's not meant to be. And we learn as we go along what's best to pair with our cigars. But Manolo says to himself, I'm gonna make a cigar that's actually gonna pair well with this particular style of beer that I'm indicating it will pair well with. And I'm here to tell you that, you know what? Pairs well. Pairs very well. But make no mistake, that doesn't mean, and I'm not speaking from Manuel Quesada, but that doesn't mean that you can't pair this with a good whiskey or rum. I think it would probably pair better with a rum, but could also pair well with some very good American bourbons, right? If you're gonna do Scotch, it's a gamble, depending on the Scotch. Maybe something aged in some I don't know, something with the sweeter profile, sherry cask. I talk a lot about how wonderful it is to find the right moment, right place, and situate yourself in a certain way to enjoy your cigar experience. And I really can't think of any better way to enjoy and luxuriate in my cigar experience than with the beautiful foliage behind me, the nature surrounding me, the wonderful people that I've been around this particular weekend. The Coolidges, they're just amazing hosts, and their generosity and their kindness has always, has always reminded me about what family's really like and what it should be. And because of that, when they said to me, you know, you should do a backyard cigar video in our backyard, we'd love it. I said, really? Well, I didn't come with a tripod. I didn't come prepared with a mic. But I do have a right cigar. I do have a cigar. I do have several cigars in mind. And this one just jumped out at me because, well, I know Oktoberfest officially ended October 3rd, but a lot of people are still celebrating it in America. So is Manuel Quesada in 2022. And I just felt it was appropriate. And after having visited the local brewery, I realized that, yeah, this was it. This was the cigar that I needed to smoke today. And man, am I lucky that I've gotten to try this. But Jose, tell me more about the cigar that you're smoking. We love that you're in a great environment, that you're comfortable, that you're surrounded by nature. But what's the cigar like? Really? Tell me about it. I'll tell you about it. I already told you it pairs well with the beer. Yes, I did. But I'm going to go further with you. Sweet cocoa notes. Breadiness. I dare say, mimicking maltiness. I dare say there's an earthiness to it. There's an earthiness to it combined with a lush sweetness that really resonates in the pairing. It really does well with the pairing. But standalone, if I weren't drinking this beer, I would still be feeling as if I'm indulging in some kind of Marzen cigar, so to speak, because it has a lot of those qualities. It's medium bodied. It's not full bodied at all. It's medium in strength and in flavor. It's actually mild to medium in the first half and only builds up as you go along. Anniversaries are special. They're supposed to be. And 2021 marked that 10-year anniversary for Quesada, and he wanted to do something a little bit different. And I think he succeeded. Not just because he chose the Mexican San Andres wrapper, which is popular with a lot of people, but because he did it right. And he stuck to the principles of make sure that it pairs well with a German lager or German style lager, as in my case. There are a lot of people chasing the cigar from time to time. I know a lot of people that have chased the cigar. People that have come to me and said, "Hey, I haven't been able to find it. I haven't seen it. I don't know where it's available. How can I get it?" And I'm always happy to assist because occasionally I do find it, and I've been very lucky. And I know a lot of you have been very lucky in the past finding this particular cigar. And when you find it, you feel kind of lucky. You feel kind of thankful that you got it. And the cigar is so good that it doesn't matter what Vitola size you're able to purchase it in. Whether you get the Gordo, the Bavarian, the Das Boot, I don't know, there's a few names, German names to the different Vitola sizes. You just want to get Emmanuel Quesada Oktoberfest cigar. Doesn't matter the Vitola. And this is the Vitola size that I was able to get for the 10th anniversary because I remember when I was looking for it and I was attempting to decide which one am I going to get. As I'm putting things in the cart, I'm noticing things actively saying out of stock, out of stock. Like it was like a moment ago I had 3 choices and now I only have 2 and now I have 1. So I've got to move fast. That's how fast they go. They're well sought after and for good reason, as we've mentioned before. When we look at the band, of course, we're looking at a German style band attached, colors of Germany. It gives it that feel of the connection to Oktoberfest. They even spell Quesada Oktoberfest with the OK, with the O, then the K. You've probably seen the O and the C for some. There are regulations regarding the use of the K for beers. There are regulations in regards to that because it must meet the strict requirements in order to be able to use the K. If not, and if you use the K, you've got to say that it's a Oktoberfest styled beer. And you'll see a lot of Oktoberfest beers that use the C. And that's for a reason. We're not going to delve too much into that. This isn't all about restrictions and rules and regulations. This is about enjoyment. This is about enjoying a good cigar. This is about enjoying a good beer. This is about pairing the two together and celebrating the marriage, right? The marriage between the two, but also the original marriage of King Ludwig I and Therese. This is all about marriage. We drink to marriage. We drink to marriage. A wonderful, wonderful institution. And furthermore, a great institution when it comes to pairing cigars with a beer. We haven't talked too much about the aroma of this cigar, but it's a wonderful aroma. It really is. It's not a dominant type of aroma. It isn't going to dominate the air around you. It's subtle, but it's sweet smelling. It's slightly floral in some regards. Then again, it could just be my surroundings. It could just be my surroundings. It could be my mood. It could be. But I am getting a very good aroma from the cigar. I'm loving the construction. I'm loving the draw on it. Kept in the humidor for a few weeks at around 64, 65 RH. And it wasn't something I wanted to sit on too long. I don't age these cigars, although you can. And if you age them, you will find that I would say you would find a difference in the strength, a difference in the way that the sweetness and the breadiness is delivered to you. And ultimately, you may be turned off or you may be turned on. It really depends on your preference. And aging them isn't unheard of because Manuel Quesada's company, obviously, they keep many of these and they age them. And they age quite well. There's absolutely nothing wrong with aging these cigars. Just to see. I wouldn't really go past the 5-year mark with these unless you want it to be super mild and just offer the subtle notes that you get initially from it when it's fresh. Perfect morning cigar, perfect afternoon cigar, perfect nightcap cigar. That's where we stand with this cigar in regards to when is best to smoke it. It's always best to smoke it. I'm going to smoke a little bit more. I'm going to come back. And I'm going to give you my final notes. Because I'm enjoying myself so much here in this wonderful abode, in this wonderful, wonderful home. I'm going to really take my time with this. And I may smoke it to the nub. Final notes on my cigar. On this cigar, it has been sweet. Cocoa. It has earthiness. And when you got to that latter part of the second third and in the final third, as I'm approaching now, creaminess. Creaminess combined with the sweetness, with the cocoa, with the maltiness, with the breadiness. It's everything you would expect in a cigar that would pair well with a beer that has similar qualities. And I think that with the Fest beer, you got a little bit of contrast with a slightly more hop level and a cleaner bill in regards to just having a simpler malt bill and a cleaner bill in regards to the hops and just the way that it coated your palate. I think it went really well. Right now I'm in cream heaven. It's just really creamy, really sweet, not abundantly sweet, just a good amount of sweetness to it. No spice, no peppers, nothing like that. I mean, it's just, this is Cibao Valley at its best. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for watching this video of Backyard Cigars in beautiful New Hampshire. And I want to thank my hosts and the beautiful people that made this possible, the Coolidges. And I want to thank all of you who are watching today and get to see me enjoy this type of nature. This is how it should be all the time. Unfortunately, we have to just make the best of what we have. Thank you for watching. Till next time on Backyard Cigars.